Hello everyone, and welcome to Dine with Shamu. It's a privilege for all of us to connect with, care for, and celebrate SeaWorld's killer whales. For 50 years, we've been honored to raise public awareness of these animals and of how we're all connected to our one ocean. We hope that over the next few minutes, we can share with you even more about our killer whales. No one understands the power of this wondrous connection between people and killer whales, as well as our SeaWorld trainers, and here they are to tell us more.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to have you here at Dine. I'm directly across the pool from you. My name is Daniel. You know, as animal trainers, we're so privileged to be able to come to work every day and work alongside killer whales. And as animal trainers, we're part of a multifaceted SeaWorld team, responsible for the care, the health, and the well-being of these amazing animals. We're extremely privileged to have each and every one of you guys join us at our Dine with Shamu tonight, where hopefully you'll get an up-close and personal look of our Shamu family. Now, I know you guys are eating, you have forks and knives and everything in your hands, but if you have a hand free, by show of hands, how many people have seen our One Ocean show today? Awesome, almost all of you. Well, I really hope you guys enjoyed that show. That's always our goal. Hopefully this will be nothing like the show, and I mean that in a completely and totally good way. At Dine with Shamu, you guys literally are in our backyard. I know almost every time people come to SeaWorld, the majority of what they see will be our shows. And hopefully, again, you're enjoying our shows. It's something dynamic that you can watch that inspires you to learn a little bit more about these animals. But there's a whole other side to what we do here at SeaWorld Florida and our other SeaWorld parks beside the show aspect of it. Tonight, we're going to give you a little bit of what we get behind the scenes. You guys literally are in our backyard right now, so all of the training, all of the time we spend just hanging out with our animals, this is where we do it. So tonight, you're going to see some different facets to what we as animal trainers do, and I'm going to try to put out as much of that for you as I possibly can while I'm coming around the environment. First off, I'd like to introduce you to some of the trainers and some of the whales that you're going to be meeting tonight. This gentleman right here is Tanner. Tanner is working with an absolutely beautiful killer whale. Her name is Kayla. Kayla is 26 years old. She's one of 2 full-grown adult females that we have in the environment right now. She's actually the biggest female that we have here at the park. She weighs right now about 5,680 pounds. So she's a pretty big girl. She's almost 20 feet long. Now, directly across the pool from me, in the far right-hand side with the hat on, that's my good buddy Allison. Allison is working with our matriarch. Her name is Katina. She's kind of the whale that rules our roost here at SeaWorld Orlando. Killer Whale Society is always matriarchal, so a female usually runs everything. She's saying hi to you right now. You guys feel free to wave back at her. She can see you. She's a really, really cool whale. Now, were any of you guys here around 1985? I know that was a while ago. If any of you were, sometimes I get hands up. Katina was the first killer whale to ever give birth to a baby in a facility like ours. She was the one that started our entire breeding program. I've been fortunate enough to work with her for about 15 years, and I can honestly say, other than my own mother, who I'm very partial to, she's probably the best mother I've ever seen in my entire life. She's just absolutely amazing. The other whale that you see in the pool directly across the way, getting a little bit of a background from my buddy Justin, is Katina's newest calf. His name is Makaio. He's 4.5 years old, so he's really not a calf anymore. He's kind of like, I don't know, I guess I put him in almost like terrible tubes phase a little bit. Not that he's terrible by any means, but he's just at that age where he knows a lot of stuff, and he's starting to kind of find his own way a little bit socially with the group. Every calf and every mother relationship is a little bit different. So even though Katina is just an absolutely outstanding mother, the way she responds and the way she relates to each and every calf that she has is a little bit different. For instance, we learn a little bit something new every time we get to see a calf born, and that's something that very few people in the world, especially those watching national environments out there in the ocean, it's something that they get to see very little of because everything takes place under the water with animals that can be very protected. We here have a really neat opportunity to be able to see the birthing process, the rearing process, everything extremely up close because we work with these animals on such a regular basis and in such a close hands-on environment. Interestingly enough, most killer whales nurse their young for around 2 years. That's something about average that we noticed so far. Makaio's 4 years old, and he just stopped nursing. That's the longest I've ever seen Katina nurse one of her calves, and it's just something a little bit different. Each and every one of these, one of the calves that we have, something a little bit different happens with it, which is a very, very cool thing. Now you'll notice These guys are all a little bit different shape and size. Again, Kayla's the bigger of the two. She's definitely the longest of the three whales that are in here. To kind of give you a size idea of what Makaio would be, Katina's about 5,300 pounds. Again, Kayla's almost 5,700. Makaio right now is right around 2,000 pounds. The really cool thing about that is, for as small as he is right now, and again, he's only 4.5 years old, so he's quite a bit younger than these two. Katina's about 39, and again, Kayla's about 26. Makaio will probably end up being somewhere between 10 and 15,000 pounds. Males are typically about twice the size of the females. Really interesting thing about that, though, is female society, or killer whale society being matriarchal, males are usually on the very bottom of the dominance chain. So even though they're about twice the size of the females in the social structure, they tend to be very much on the bottom. So it is kind of funny if Katina was to have an environment where she had some grown males in the pool with her. She'd basically say jump, and they would say how high every time. And that's just the way their society works a little bit. Here's a little Makaio for you guys to check out. He is an extremely handsome little guy. I just love watching him interact with his trainer. You guys watch Justin. Makaio really seems to respond very, very well to Justin. They've got a very, very cool relationship. You know, whales are just like people. They respond to every one of us a little bit differently. So the same way I would respond to each and every one of you a little bit differently, they respond to each and every trainer a little bit differently. Not necessarily in a good or a bad way, but just a different way. I work with each of the few whales that are in this pool. The way that Kayla responds to me is a little bit different than the way that she responds to Tanner. And the way that Makaio responds to me is a little bit different than the way he responds to Justin. Now, Justin's working on something that's really cool. That's a very simple type of behavior that we refer to as a mimic behavior. And it's kind of funny looking. Not only do we find out that Justin is a phenomenal dancer, as you can see over there, but also we've noticed over time that these animals really seem to respond to the visual part of what we do very well. So a lot of times the behaviors that we train, some of it is just simply us doing something and them trying to mimic it, which is kind of a funny thing. You know, some of the training that we do is very complicated, and some of it is extremely simple. Something like a mimic behavior is pretty simple to do. If we repeat it enough, a lot of times they'll follow along with us. What you guys see Tanner doing here, this is really, I'm glad that he's doing this in front of you guys. So just spending a little time, rubbing on his whale, loving on him a little bit. You know, people ask us all the time, how do we get the killer whales to really think for us? And there really is no exact answer for that, other than we try to make it as fun and reinforcing as we possibly can. Now, we do different types of training sessions during the day, but probably what I would think to be the most important one for us as trainers is what Tanner's doing right now. He's basically just spending time doing what we call relating, which basically means just hanging out. He's just hanging out with Kayla right now. He's not really doing too terribly much with her. He's not asking for a bunch of big jumpy behaviors. And I know from a show standpoint, that would kind of seem, you know, we want to go to see a show, and you kind of want to see some of the jumpy behaviors. But to be honest with you, this is a huge part of what we do. Our entire process of training is based on trust and respect. And again, when I say this, I want you guys to believe me 100% because we 100% mean it. We cannot make these killer whales do anything, nor would we want to. That's not part of what we do. Everything that we do with these guys is based on their choice. So when you see a trainer giving a hand signal, we're not telling the whales to go do anything for us, we're asking. And they have a choice. They can either do it or they can choose to do something totally different. We don't really care either way. These guys are going to get their entire basic food from us, regardless of what they do from us during the day. Now, yes, it is true. We do use the food a little bit as a reinforcement for some of the behaviors. But even if they don't do anything that we want them to do all day long, we're still going to give them their diet because they need that. That's part of what they need to survive. So we want to make sure they have that. So throughout the training process, we've got about 1 million ways of telling these animals that they did something wrong. We have no ways of telling them what they did was wrong, and that's the way we like it. We want to make sure that they're choosing to do stuff because they want to do it. And believe me, I've been on stage in front of 5,000 people before and had to tell them, hey guys, the show, it's not going to go on right now because they want to go do something else. So we want them to make those choices. If they choose to swim around the pool and ignore us completely, it doesn't happen very often, but if that's the choice they want to make, that's important, and we want to make sure that they do that. Equally as important as them hanging out with us. Now Tanner, what he's doing right now is spending all this time just kind of building his relationship with Kayla, or working to strengthen his relationship with Kayla. This is something that we do every day. And the whole goal of everything that we do, every time we walk away from the pool, We want to walk away from the pool feeling like our relationships with these whales is getting stronger every time we walk away. And whether that's through teaching them a new behavior, or spending time playing with some of the toys that they really seem to enjoy, or maybe getting a little bit of exercise, everything that we do is supposed to be something that's up with them a little bit. And again, we do that by having as much fun as we possibly can and accentuating the positives as much as we possibly can. There's Justin doing a little bit more dancing. He's kind of a dancing fool today, but it really is showing for me when I watch Justin interact with Makaio across the pool. What I really love to see is how well Makaio is responding to him, how fast he's responding to the signals that Justin's giving him, and some of the mimic behaviors that Justin's performing with him. And it's really kind of a cool thing because, again, Makaio being the newest to our SeaWorld family here in Orlando, he's the newest to our training process. So he's just kind of figuring all of this out right now. Now those of you down here in our slide out area, you were able to see Makaio here a little bit ago, but you're also right now getting a good view of Kayla. And again, she's close to 20 feet long, so she's a pretty big girl. She's about 5,700 pounds. And you know, you see Tanner flipping a little bit of water on her. That's not necessarily to keep her wet. What he's doing right now is he's providing her with the stimulus that she likes the feel of. One thing that we've noticed is, you know, whales are like people. Some of them are very tactile. I don't really like back rubs. I've never been a person that's really liked them quite a bit. My wife loves, you know, back rubs and massages and things like that, and that's just her own personality. Kayla's kind of the same way. She seems to be a very tactile whale. She's a whale that seems to respond very well to back rubs, or actually Tanner rubbing her tail. Her tail is a very sensitive area on her, and she seems to really like that quite a bit. You see Tanner just giving her a little touch, and she'll bring her tail right over to you. Now that's really cool. If you guys look underneath her tail, you can see some white lines that are underneath it. Those are actually veins that run through her tail. This is something really cool. We're very proud of the care that we're able to provide for our killer whales here. We spend a great deal of time doing it. And part of that is actually working on what we call husbandry behaviors. That doesn't mean we're going out and finding husbands for the whales. It basically just means anything pertaining to their health. Now, believe it or not, every time we go to the doctor to get our physical every year, whether it's a blood sample or any other type of sample that they would want to take from us, we actually can train our killer whales to do that all voluntarily. It really is a very cool thing. If we were going to take a blood sample from Kayla, she would roll over, basically put her tail in our lap, and the veterinarians can come and draw blood from one of those little veins that you saw underneath her tail. It is, I mean, as a trainer, I've been doing this for 15 years. It doesn't get any cooler than having a killer whale's tail in your lap, and you're voluntarily choosing to let you take a blood sample from them. That really speaks to the teamwork that we're able to get with these animals. So whether it's a blood sample, or a urine sample, or a fecal sample, kind of gross to talk about that during dinner, I'm sorry about that. But those are things that we work very hard on that are very important for our whales, not only for us medically, but also to make sure that they're receiving the best care possible every single day. But guys, I really hope you enjoyed learning a little bit of something about our killer whales today. You know, just like us, killer whales learn through experience, observation, and cooperation. So when we see others taking care of the environment, like picking up trash on the beach, we're inspired to make positive choices too. And through Shamu, we've learned that each of us, by our choices, can make a world of difference caring for our natural world. If we all join together in cooperation, just like killer whales do, we can work wonders, and the beauty of our oceans will continue to thrive.
Is an historic year for our SeaWorld family of parks as we celebrate our 50th Sea of Surprises. This is just a part of what promises to be the most exciting era in SeaWorld's history. We look forward to seeing you again for the next amazing chapter in the SeaWorld story.
On behalf of our entire animal training team, and most importantly our Shamu family, we want to thank you for joining us tonight at Dine with Shamu. And as always, have a whale of a day right here at SeaWorld. Goodbye, everyone.
Shamu. As our presentation comes to a close, please enjoy the remainder of the meal and have a whale of a day here at SeaWorld.